let me just go straight to the point, right? I'm Michael Ogungbe, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Greysoft Technologies. Greysoft Technologies is a creative and tech company, and our mission is simple: to help people leverage technology for improved livelihood. And we are also very, very intentional about every single thing we do, right? And very enthused about emerging technologies, right? And that's why you see that we are taking on projects around the metaverse and building the metaverse, right? And for us, right, we see that we need to increase the amount of the level of creators in this space, right? We understand that Africa is mostly seen as a continent of consumers, right? We have few people creating stuff and building stuff, right? It's just in the recent years we have a lot of people really getting into the tech space, understanding the opportunities in tech space and seeing how they can leverage it. And that's a key responsibility for us, right? To help people leverage technology, to increase access to digital opportunities, right? And our goal for this bootcamp basically is to see how we can, like I said before, to handhold people in the metaverse space, see how they can build, see how they can contribute, and see how they can participate in this space, right? And particularly, I'm really excited when Joshua told me about you. I was really excited because for us, one of the things we try to do is to promote African-based content, right? Product built by Africans for Africans, you know, and it's really great to see some of the works that you have done, right? I went through your Instagram page and I saw some of the works that you have done, and it's really, really exciting to see. And I must commend that level of investment that you have made towards being an inspiration to young people. Yeah, so that's it basically. And this bootcamp already started last week, and so far our participants have gotten the opportunity to learn about Swift XR, Blender, and all that tools, right? And we've had 3 speakers speak to them, aside from our speakers already. Joshua had the opportunity to speak with them. Gospel also spoke with them yesterday, and Matthew spoke with them on, last week, right? So, yeah, and it has been a really, really insightful session, right? And I'm also, like I said before, really excited about what you get to share with our participants, right? And yeah, eager to learn and to see how your work is contributing to the metaverse space, and see how they can also engage in this space also. I believe you can hear me, Idiat.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great.
I'm following you.
All right, great. So yes, I'm particularly excited. I'll just take my screen down a bit so that you can at least see some of the participants.
Okay.
Yep. If I'm not correct.
Yes, I can see them.
Okay, you can see them, right? All right.
Yes, I can.
Can I see hello, Idiat? Are you shy? All right. Okay. Okay. So you can shoot from here.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Hadiat. I'm a 3D virtual fashion designer. Hi everybody, my name is Hadiat. I'm a 3D virtual fashion designer, and I design 3D fashion items. I design fashion items in 3D. I design fashion items in 3D using 3D softwares and a lot of immersive technology like AR softwares and VR softwares. So yeah, so that's basically what I do. So I'm here to speak about how we can leverage on the metaverse as Africans in Africa. So one of the things that I do, or like I've said that I did, is having like fashion items in 3D and having them being used in the metaverse. So these fashion items, so when you make them with regular softwares that you know, like Blender, Maya, Substance Printer, Substance Designer, to mention a few of them. So you don't just have to have these items lobby around on your laptop. You can find useful cases for them in the metaverse. So what is a metaverse? A metaverse to me is just like having several words. Like just the way we have Nigeria having several words, just the way we have like word Earth. So just see it as having a place in the virtual space this time around, but similar to the word. And at the same time having several places. So we have several metaverses, like we have Decentraland, Spatial, to mention a few of them, and we have several avatars that are being used in this place. Some metaverse have their own avatars, while some leverage on Ready Player Me avatars. So what I do in my case is make clothing items for these avatars, like creating digital twin for people to be able to use in the metaverse, making them feel like humans, like just the way we have like in the physical world that we wear clothes and shoes, bags, all those items. So all these items can also be replicated in the metaverse, and just the way we have like a fashion designer in the physical world, we can also have like a fashion designer in the virtual world. So these are like one basics of my job role, and you're not just a 3D fashion designer to just kind of like create fashion items for avatars alone. These fashion items you are to be so more like creating like a digital twin of fashion items. So either you're creating a digital twin of fashion items available in the physical to the virtual, or creating fashion items available in the virtual to the physical. So you can decide to do like any of this, and I believe you don't need like any specific skills. If you already have like a 3D skill, you only need to kind of like focus your energy on doing these items. And already there are things, there are platforms you could leverage on to kind of like make easy simulation of your AR items or your 3D items into AR, which is like Swift XR. So once you make any 3D thing, you can upload this item to Swift XR and get like a GLB file or so into the metaverse easily. So this way you are able to kind of like have your items in the metaverse. So that's like one of the things you can leverage on. I don't know if you guys are just learning how to create 3D items, or if you guys already know how to create 3D items.
Okay, let me answer that. For some people here, right, some of the participants already have ideas, right? They've been able to explore the 3D space, right? While some are just being introduced, right? So we have like a mixed population of this, what's it called, my expertise.
Okay, so the thing is, 3D has like different branches, so it depends on what you want to do. So there are some people that are called a 3D generalist. They do everything 3D. I specifically am a fashion designer. I design things related to fashion, and it doesn't just have to be clothing alone. It's ranges from clothing, shoes, bag, makeups, just name anything you can term as being fashionable. So that's what I do. And you don't, so the beauty of being a 3D fashion designer is that you also like work with physical designers. So it's not just you having your items virtually. These items can also be made physical. So that's the beauty of it. And one thing about it is that the metaverse is like the next big thing in the world, and fashion is also the next big thing in the metaverse, because one thing is your avatar cannot walk naked, because we don't walk naked in the physical world. So your avatar cannot walk naked. It needs to put on a clothes, no matter how little the clothes is. So this is like one thing you can leverage on. Then another thing that I would like to speak upon is the metaverse as a whole is beyond what we see now. According to statistics, we're made to believe or we've read that the metaverse is going to grow into a very big thing coming 2025. So everybody is expecting that, and I like to say that we should leverage on this opportunity as early as we can, be the forerunners of things and get things done in the metaverse. So there are a lot of job roles in the metaverse. You can become a fashion designer, you can become a storyteller, you can do cinematics, and you can even become an architect in the metaverse. So there are a lot of like opportunities for us in the metaverse. It does depend on how we are able to leverage on these opportunities. like I'm meant to believe that some of you are just learning 3D, while some of you are already an expert in 3D, while some of you are on the way. So you should start thinking from now on what you want to do. Like, what kind of 3D do you want to do? Do you want to go into the gaming aspect of 3D, where you are involved in building the metaverse itself? Do you want to be a creator, where maybe probably a fashion designer and architect, where you assist in when the metaverse is being built, when you assist in putting things together? Just think of an architect as you are having a piece of land and drawing a plan on it, just like we have in the physical world, and trying to kind of like make all these things a one thing. Yeah, I know, like, there are a lot of questions. How do you make money from all this? These are questions that people often ask. Like, if I learn all these things, how do I make money? So there are a lot of ways to make money. You can either work for a company as a tech person, or as a creative. You can have your own stuff. You can own, like, there are some of these metaverse where you can own stores and sell your own items yourself. And that's like another way of making money with your skill sets. You can, there are a lot of companies, for an example, Disney, that leveraging on all these recent technology like AR and VR. You can start working in the film sector, you can work in the game sector. So there are a lot of ways, like, I can't even mention all of them, at which you can make money. You can even make money from training people. So, like, yeah, that's it. You can also make money from training people. So there are a lot of ways at which you can make money by leveraging on recent technologies and the metaverse as a whole. Recently, Nike joined Artifact. Nike collaborated with Artifact to kind of like build like their own items into the metaverse. So these are big brands coming into the metaverse. We have the like of Nike, we have Adidas build some kind of stores to also leverage on the metaverse. We have Tommy Hilfiger. So big brands are coming into the metaverse. So that is just to tell you that we shouldn't be left behind. We should also try as much as possible to kind of like move alongside. And this can be done gradually. You need to kind of like learn the skills. There are social media skills. Like, even if you don't want to go into core tech, you can go into like data analysis, like trying to gather data for people that use the metaverse, how many male, how many female, all those kind of data. So this can give you like a wide range of opportunity, even social media marketing, all those marketers and stuff like that. So it can give you like a wide range of opportunity depending on how and when you want to leverage on these opportunities. Yeah, I'm not really very good at talking, so I think at this point I would like to kind of like take questions. If you have any questions you want to ask me, so that like whatever I'm saying is directly channeled to what you guys like have in mind and what you want to listen to.
Not sure.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, sorry, I have a question on fashion designing.
Okay.
So, I actually tried doing fashion design when I started doing 3D, and it was very, very difficult for my laptop to take, because when it comes to 3D designing in fashion, I think the qualities are very high because of animation, wrinkles, and all this stuff that has to do with like clothing and stuff. So, like, for someone who is like trying to like get involved with fashion relating to the metaverse, is there a way you can like minimize the poly count or something? Like, because you say you export in GLB, I don't know which platform you will export your assets to. So if you can like give more information on that, please.
Yeah, so I'll give you like a brief breakdown on my workflow. So you're supposed to pay for this actually, but yeah. So I use Cloud 3D or Marvelous Designer.
Okay.
So both software do the same thing, but I work for the film, the game, and I work for the metaverse. So for an example, I'm going to take it from the point of the metaverse or the game where I need a very low poly. So for that, I make use of Marvelous Designer.
Okay.
Even if I work in Clo, I like to also transport it back to Marvelous Designer to do some retopo. So if you check on your Marvelous Designer tab, you will see something called retopo on your Marvelous Designer tab. That place, so you can learn how to use that tool firstly. So after learning how to use that tool, it reduces some poly count you have on your clothes. So I don't know if you make use of Marvelous Designer. So now from that point, I'm going to take that item to Blender. Then you can use some to Blender. But before I kind of like put anything in Blender, I also would reduce the poly count of these materials in Blender. So when I want to do that, what I do is there are some tools you can leverage on. There is one called Vitopo Flow. It's a plugin in Blender that you can actually get. There's Vitopo Flow. There's one other one I can't remember. I practically use Vitopo Flow, so sorry that I can't remember the other one. So you can get Vitopo Flow to use Vitopo Flow. So, but while doing that, you will notice that some of the wrinkles you have in Marvelous Designer has come off while trying to retopo that particular cloth. So what I mean by retopo is kind of like reducing the polygon. So retopology, that's the term for it. So it's called retopology. So there are two ways to actually bring back your wrinkle. The first way is to take this cloth to ZBrush and kind of like manually put the wrinkle back in ZBrush by sculpting the wrinkle on it. So I'm trying as much as possible to use the available vertices and faces to sculpt on this cloth. I'm not adding extra polygons to it. But if you don't want to go through that route, another route is taking this retopologized cloth to Substance Painter. But it's a bit tricky in Substance Painter. When I am in Substance Painter, what I do is I work on the one with the high poly. So now you're having two clothes, the one with the high poly before retopologizing and the one you've retopologized. So what I do is I load the one with the high poly in Substance Painter. Then I paint whatever designs, wrinkle and everything I want to do on this high poly. Then I export the map of the high poly. I'm exporting just the map, which you can call the texture.
Sorry, is it normal map?
Yes, it's beyond normal map. So depending, so you have your normal map, you have your diffuse map. Okay. So depending on what you're doing, so if you are doing a transparent cloth, you might have your opacity map, etc., etc., etc. from Substance Painter. So what I do is in Substance Painter, I replace the high poly that I've painted with the low poly, then export that map out. But you have to make sure that these two items have the same number, have the same, excuse me, I forgot the term, have the same UVs. So when you are doing your UVs, you have to make sure that they have the same UVs. Once the UV change, you can't use this method. So the two items have to have the same UV. So when you bring these maps in form of texture to Blender, so there's, if you go below Blender, like you can click, I think there's a place you put in your map. That's the texture. There's a term for it. So I think I need to Blender. Excuse me to run Blender.
This PBR textures.
Yes, your PBR textures. But there's a place to kind of like impute these textures inside of Blender. So when you are imputing the texture inside of Blender, you impute the textures you extracted from Substance Painter directly into it. So it comes with your fold and every other designs you've done in it. And it appears like an high poly because you're using the maps from the high poly on the low poly. So nobody would know that the cloth is actually of low poly and you get a very nice look on your cloth. Even with the fact that the polygon has been reduced, you get the wrinkles, you get every other thing you want.
All right, thank you.
So these are the two methods at which I go through things. So I don't know if you understand or if you want me to kind of like recap on things.
No, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
There's this course that we did in school then, 100 level. It's called MEE. And you know, sometimes when you're giving a measurement or you're giving something to construct, at some point you just have to, there's something called Jomo, you just have to, you know, put this, you know, just make sure that the construct comes out perfectly, right? You just find a way to just manipulating your way or maneuvering your way around the entire
process. Actually, it's not manipulating. It's like a workflow.
Yes.
So it depends on like which one kind of like works for you. So for an example, I like to have my own fabric. If you notice, most of my clothes, they come with this African texture looking stuff. So that way I work majorly with Substance Painter, Substance Designer, Substance Sampler. So once I retopologize my clothes, I still like to have like the high polygon and the low polygon. So I work with the high polygon, but use these maps from the high polygon from the low polygon. Since they have the same UV, the most important thing is you must keep the UVs intact.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great, really great. You know, I was going through a particular lady's work here in Kaduna. She also does this, what's it called now? This digital art, right? And I was looking at it and I was like, people need to understand how they can transition into the metaverse, right? Transition all of this level of 2D art to 3D art and see how they can, go beyond their current level of delivery. Because some people are really just just satisfied with their level of delivery. Yes, I'm doing well. I'm doing my 3D art and my 2D art, and it's going fine, right? And like I said before, for us, right, this is like this is the first bootcamp for the year, right? There'll still be several bootcamps we'll have for the year. Then probably at the end of the year have like a showcase, because you can't tell people, you can't just design a showcase at the end of the year when you've not trained people to build in that space, right? And we are here in Kaduna State, and we are like leading the metaverse space in Kaduna. And even for last year, we had an engagement with the Edo State Innovates, right, where we had to show them some of the things that we have built, and the governor also experienced some of these things, right? So I want to say thank you again, right, for the commitment you showed in delivering your workflow, even though you pay for it. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's like one of the major problem we face starting up, not like knowing who to guide you, not knowing where to get resources from. So it's kind of like normal. Him asking that question is just me some years back wanting to kind of like find my feet. And the funniest thing is, I think then I can confidently say there was no digital fashion artist in Nigeria that I knew or could speak to. So it was more like a lone journey for me. But yeah, now you have like everybody here. You have like a lot of guys into a lot of stuffs now that you could easily reach out to, and they could tell you one or two things. So I think it's a good time now. It's a good time to start now.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just. I don't know if anybody still has any question, or if there's anything you want me to attend to. I would gladly do that.
Someone has a question.
I think I should apologize again. I'm not that really good of a talker. So
No. You've spoken a lot already. It's not in the length, it's in the quality.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
You mentioned something about storytellers and the metaverse. Please,
Yes.
I just want to understand how storytellers come into the metaverse.
Okay. So, like I was saying earlier, storytelling and metaverse. So, they are storytelling in a lot of things. So, for an example, I'm presently working with a friend at Canvas.in, and we are trying to kind of like build like a show for the metaverse. The show has a lot of I want to use the English name, but I can't particularly remember the English name. A lot of man-made, yes, Mami Water, that's how we call it. A lot of man-made characters. I'm just an artist, so we directly need someone. So I have my own story, but we directly need someone to kind of like help us in telling this story that the audience are being carried along. It's a show in the metaverse that everybody's going to come and watch. But you definitely does not just want to watch a show that the leg is somewhere, the hand is somewhere, like a show that is not coming together. So for this kind of thing, we need a storyteller that can help us tell our story the best way, that can help us reach the best audience. So for an example, I have my story where I'm coming from, how I started, but at the end of the day, I need to tell this story so that you people are involved in this story, and it's the work of a storyteller. So most often time, people need storytellers to kind of like help them in their projects, in their work, so that this work is able to kind of like tell the exact stories and reach the exact audience. So for an example, I mentioned Disney. Disney are doing like AR-based films, VR-based films, and all these things need a storyteller. You need to kind of like write the script, tell the story in a proper way to reach the proper audience. You will not want to tell a story that in your mind you're telling a story that you want the audience to be 21 years old, but the people that the story is reaching is like 60-year-old people. You've not succeeded. So yeah, so that's like one of the duties of the storytellers. Like you're needed. I think storytelling is probably needed everywhere, even in our day-to-day life. So like that's like one of many instances.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Does anyone have any questions?
All right. If they don't have, they have.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me ask for them on their behalf, right? Probably they're not thinking in that perspective, right? So, after building all of this, right, you spoke about Disney, you spoke about the fact that you're working with Canva. Is it Canvas.io? I can't remember, but I think I heard Canvas.io, and these how the fact that Disney, likes of Disney, needs something like this, right? So my question is this, right? As Africans, right, who are building African-based content, like I said, I think I was speaking to Joshua the other day, and I said, if you look at the filters, most of the filters you see are, they're not Afro-based, right? You see, they're not Afro-based, right? So, regardless, we are using them, right? But when we are able to build a level of relatability, right, it also increases the usage, right, in Africa, right? So my question is, how do you monetize some of these things? How do you monetize? If so, I'm excited about Metaverse. I want to build in the Metaverse. Is there like a big community I can join where I get more people to get me enthused about it? So for example, if you are learning front-end development right now, there are a lot of people that can get you, work alongside you. You say, okay, I'm working on this project, 30 days challenge. There are a lot of people you can easily join on those challenges, right? And at the end of the day, you're able to build, and that way you're also able to get references, right, for jobs, right? So let me say, how do the participants, how can they build to the level that they can become employable in this space?
So
Because I know, okay. All right.
Yeah, so Metaverse and so 3D is a popular thing in Africa already, actually.
Yes, I know.
3D is a popular thing in Africa already. We have the likes of, we can even learn from Orange and DFX in Lagos. They have like a community there. So 3D is a popular thing already. But there are just some aspects of 3D that are still building up, just like where I am. So the simple truth about it is, being a 3D fashion designer, I wouldn't guarantee that you start making billions of naira from the first day. That's a typical lie. You have to. So we don't have like an exact African community at the moment for when it comes to like 3D fashion. We don't have that at the moment. Everybody's just building up. I have a community with a friend called Digital Fashion Africa. It's just building up. Everybody's just building up from like stage one. There is like nothing spectacular yet about that. But I think for the AR VR community, there are communities already. We have AR VR Africa. We have so many of them that I can't mention that you can join. You can see them on Twitter, Instagram, and join the community where you see people building stuff. You're able to do hackathons. Like there are a couple of them. I think Immersive 3D always hosts hackathons and things like that. Meta always also accept like help in hosting these hackathons for AR VR. So the thing is, Metaverse as a whole is a combination of a lot of things, a combination of 3D, a combination of AR, VR, and now AI. So, but all these things have like their own separate communities. Like there's an AR, VR community, like there are a lot of communities you can join. You can see them, like you can join AR, VR communities, and there's some community on, I think I've seen AR, VR Africa, then there's AR, VR, I'm not sure. There's AR VR Africa, that I'm very sure of. So you can join that community. They have like, they do hackathons, and you can join like that's the only one I'm sure of when it comes to AR VR. I'm not sure of anyone when it comes to AI, but for 3D there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them for 3D. You just have to search online. I don't know them off-head, but there are a lot of communities you can join for 3D. There are a lot of communities you can join for 3D. But from some specific things, they are not yet readily in Africa. So we are looking up to you and me to make them ready in Africa. Like for the Metaverse, there's no specific community in Africa that can outrightly tell you to join, but there are these short arms, like I've mentioned, that you can join, and from there you can like get projects. So when you talk about AR VR projects, most of the projects are targeted towards the metaverse. Not all of them, but some of them. So you can get this project targeted towards it. Some 3D community, when you join them, you can see project like, for an example, I might have like a space in spatial and I need to build maybe a store. So I need the help of a 3D designer to build a store. So it's not outrightly like, so, but if you're not in this 3D community, you might not know that somebody needs that. Also, another way to go about things is freelancing. Use freelancing platforms like Fiverr, Upwork to get jobs. Be active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very good community where you can meet people, not just Africans, but a lot of people that. Twitter is a very good space. Follow people that are doing like things you're doing, and from this place you can move. There are Facebook communities too. So all these communities, you just have to kind of like check it online and see them. When I started, there was no, because I was specific at what I want to do, which is 3D fashion, and there was no community in Africa that was targeted towards that. So it was, I think I practically started from LinkedIn. So I always encourage people to use LinkedIn a lot. I practically started from LinkedIn. The first person I met was the founder of the first 3D virtual fashion house in the world, and I spoke to him. He was open. Even he's not an African person. It was open, and I just started from there. So LinkedIn is one place you can actually get people to be like minds, African or not African. So LinkedIn is one thing you should start leveraging on. Have like a formal page on LinkedIn. Make sure you're following the right set of people. Then Twitter as well. Behance is also a place to go to for inspirations, like you can see other people's work, what people in your field are doing and things like that. So from all these platforms, you're able to get jobs. And AR VR community as well, like I've mentioned. I think Swift XR also has a community. You can join that community as well. I think Matthew and some other guys have like a smaller communities as well that you can join. But I specifically, I don't know a community that is just channeled towards Metaverse alone. I knew community that has several branches, so you can just leverage it on these several branches. I don't know if I've been able to answer your question.
I think with these few points of yours, you have been able to convince me and not to confuse me.
People ask questions. Right. Can we take them?
All right.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if you're also into animation, because I saw some of your works on ArtStation.
Yes, I am.
So what is it like animating the 3D models?
So okay, my proper job role. So I think now you guys got me. You guys are researching. Okay, so I do a lot of stuff actually. I do 3D fashion. So like I said, I do everything fashion. So I feel modeling is part of fashion. I create virtual models as well. And so how do I do that? I'm looking for a way to kind of like simplify it. So if you're very good at sculpting, you might want to start your process from ZBrush, Blender, and like that. Recently, I started learning Maya because I use Unreal Engine, and I started learning Maya recently. So you might want to do ZBrush Maya like that. But if you're not very good at sculpting, you might want to leverage on Dash 3D. I don't know if you've heard of Dash 3D. So Dash 3D or iClone. Dash 3D or iClone, you might want to leverage on those two softwares to get your base model, your base mesh. So you can either buy the base mesh. What I mean by base mesh is already sculpted body. Then you can go on and tweak it to what you want it to be. So this is like OT, cheat. So you can go on and then tweak it to what you want it to be. So you can take this base model to somewhere like ZBrush. So maybe you want, so I have a model called Awele. So I'll just kind of like, maybe you want this model to have cheek, maybe you want it to have big cheek. So the model might not look African to your liking. Maybe the base model you're using is slim, and you want the person to be busty, have back, have front, those kind of things. Like someone, maybe you're modeling after someone, or you want it to look like someone. So you can then take this base model to ZBrush and do all those extra detailing you want. And if you don't want to go through the route of ZBrush, you can use Blender sculpting brush. I took a whole study on sculpting in Blender that I was able to kind of like learn so no software is actually bad. depending on the user. That's what I like to say, because you might say, oh, this software is limited, and you see someone using that same software to go beyond what software cannot do. So some people do all this process in Blender, while some people go through ZBrush, then bring it back to Blender. So that 3D or iClone comes with rig. They comes with rig, but if you don't want to use this rig in Blender, there's something called Rigify. So you can use this Rigify to kind of like make your own rig. But if you want to leverage on rigs from this place, you can use those rigs there. So if you want to do animation, you can either do the animation manually from the start yourself, or you also leverage on there's this software called Make Human. So they have short animations. They are not a lot, but they have short animations, like if you want to shout, if you want to move, if you want to dance, like basic things. So all you need to do is export your mesh in FBX to this Make Human, and it will animate it, and you export the FBX back to Blender, then you apply your texture and every other thing, and you have your animation, or you just do it manually. So there are a lot of workflows to this thing, depending on which one you're comfortable with. And you can also make use of Unreal Engine, putting your avatar with your rig to Unreal and trying to kind of like make use of what's the name of Unreal Engine avatar? Meta-Human, yes. Make use of Meta-Human. So Meta-Human comes with some kind of movement, some kind of facial expression. So there's a way to kind of like use your own base model with Meta-Human textures and everything, so that it looks more realistic. So it depends on the software you're using. There's a lot of ways to go about these things, like in and out, animation and everything. So it depends on which one you're comfortable with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And if you want me to go based on the software you're using, it might be the software I know, then I can go over that. But if it's not the software I know.
Right. Yeah, the question is okay.
I'm still a beginner to Blender, and maybe I'm dabbling small in Unity.
In Unity, okay.
Yes.
I've only used Unity once, and I made use of Fufuria in Unity. And since then, I don't use Unity. I use Unreal. So for Unreal Engine, I'm probably able to answer your question a lot. But for Unity, the only thing I've used in Unity all my life is Fufuria. That's the only thing I know how to use in Unity. Aside that, I don't know anything. But I've used Unreal Engine, and I can answer a bit of question when it comes to Unreal Engine. But for Blender, I think I can answer multiple questions when it comes to Blender. For Blender, you might want to get this. It's called Rigify. So you might want to get it to be able to kind of like rig your model. So it's easier for you to kind of like rig your model. It's a plugin in Blender to kind of like rig your model in Blender. So it's easier for you to rig your model in Blender. And you might want to get tutorials on how to kind of like do animations from scratch in Blender, making use of YouTube. So I think that's the two things. But you might want just get Rigify. Rigify would kind of like make it easier for you to kind of like rig your character since you're a beginner. So what rigging means is having bones. Like without the bones in our specific joints, we might not be able to kind of like move our hands and things like that. And without these bones, you're unable to kind of like do animation manually yourself. That is one way. And another way is if you don't want to go through all those things, if you're just trying to do like a very simple animation, maybe you just want someone to dump hands, all those things, just make sure that you have your FBX character, upload it to Make Human, which I won't encourage that, because you are learning to kind of like get a professional job. So for professional job, you need to like know professional stuff. So Make Human is just for you to kind of like do simple skits, simple things. So if you wanted to have it in Make Human, you can just like upload the FBX to Make Human, then you upload it back to Blender. So just like simple things, and not just for simple things. Actually, you can use Make Human to make a whole movie. You just have to join these animations together one by one, like a short movie, maybe all these seconds movie and stuff like that for your character.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alright. Now we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is virtual commerce, because I saw a space like that. You put it on virtual commerce. So I had an idea like, what if Like, we have fashion designers here in Nigeria, and most of them, they create all these beautiful native attires, beautiful dresses. So I was thinking, if somebody creates a dress, like a clothes, how can you, as a metaverse fashion designer, recreate it into the metaverse or into an XR platform? Is it like
Okay.
this? Okay.
So there are several ways to that. So presently, I have two startup at the moment. One is called Idiat Tailor, and one is called the Asado. So at the Asado, we are presently working on the virtual fashion galleria, trying to create a seamless way for people to actually consume fashion in the metaverse. So one of the issues the metaverse has at the moment is identity. People are unable to identify as themselves in multiple metaverses. For an example, you don't get items you have in one metaverse in the other metaverse, and we are trying to create this interspacy between every metaverses. So like one of the questions you ask is, what we are trying to do is make sure that physical designers are well represented in the metaverse, because this is one problem we have now. Physical designers, except from big brands, they are not well represented in the metaverse. You want to have your local designer in the metaverse. You want to have Yatiti that is beside your house in the metaverse. You want Yatiti to make clothes for you that you can wear in the physical world in the metaverse. So this is something that is not yet available. You can only do so. Why it is not available to the lower version of the fashion industry is because this thing costs a lot of money to hire a single designer. So for an example, if Iyatiti wants to have clothes in Decentraland, Iyatiti needs to hire a 3D designer to create these clothes into a 3D item for her and pay this person. So if this 3D fashion designer does not now know how to do retopo and everything, convert these clothes into a game asset, Iyatiti needs to hire another person to do this for her. And Iyatiti now needs to start learning how to upload this thing on Decentraland so that people would start buying this thing. But what if you're trying to make this, and this costs Iyatiti a lot of money to actually acquire all these skills. But what if you're trying to create a process for Iyatiti so that Iyatiti only have to be able to kind of like drop a design? Even if it's picture, she doesn't even necessarily need to know how to sketch. And these pictures is being made into 3D design for her, and this design is being carried into the metaverse, and not just one metaverse, several metaverses. But at the moment, this is like a solution we are presently working on, I and the rest of my team. But what is available now is for Iyatiti to hire someone like me, pay me to do this 3D design for her, and learn how to upload this thing on Decentraland herself, or any of these available metaverses. So for now, you can start working for Iyatiti and make money.
Hope you guys know who you are.
So another question I might have that I was thinking you wanted to ask about V-commerce is how. So for now, if you already know 3D, aside from Iyatiti, so let's assume for now you know 3D design yourself and you work for Iyatiti as Iyatiti designers. How do you upload this thing to the metaverse, and how do people see these items? Since there are a lot of designers, so that should be the questions you should ask. So how do this item reach the end users? And at the end of the day, how is Iyatiti known? Because Iyatiti would also want to make money in the physical world and in the virtual world. So these are things that like some platforms. So you can have. So there are some platforms that sells 3D items, not even just metaverse alone. For example, if you know how to create stool, benches, and all, you can start uploading this item on ArtStation, or you upload this item on Sketchfab. So you can sell your stuffs on Sketchfab, and you can also sell your stuffs in the metaverse like Spatial, Decentraland. I think there's Ozone. There's a couple of them that you can upload your stuff to sell. So this is how you can start helping Iyatiti and helping yourself too, because if Iyatiti is making money, Iyatiti is able to pay you for your service.
Thank you very much, Idiat. Yes, thank you very much.
I think I will go and meet Yatiti after now, so that we can have a proper business conversation. How we can look into the metaverse.
Yeah.
All right.
Another way to actually leverage on your skill is you guys might want to look at making AR filters for Instagram and for Snapchat.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So this entire program is a bootcamp and hackathon. So one of the things that is expected of them after this bootcamp is ending this week. And so they're going to have like from Thursday to next week, from Thursday to Sunday to work on stuff. So I'm sure some of them already have some ideas on their mind. And on Monday is the day they'll get to showcase what they've worked on. And definitely would we send you some of the things they worked on so that you can be proud of the participant, right? And just in case you're looking for interns, right? You could, they could, if they meet that, if they meet the standard of your internship, right? You get, because I believe so many.
At the moment, my startup cannot afford to pay.
What is it?
I said at the moment, my startup cannot afford to pay.
So here is the thing about internship. There is paid internship and there is unpaid internship, right? I think when I was getting into the tech space like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, people really took internship not because of the money they would be paid, but because of the experiences they would get and the exposure that they would get.
Yeah, I know. We actually take unpaid interns, but the thing is, we take unpaid interns, but you must be, because we don't just want someone to work with us, and at the end of the day, we won't be able to say this person worked with us. You have to have like your own stuff at the end of the day. Like you have to be able to kind of like do stuff at the end of the day yourself, because the end goal is for everybody to win at the end of the day. That's my own belief. That's the end goal. So you must be able to kind of like stand on your own and things like that. And one of the problems we are presently facing as African is majority of us are after the money from the onset. Yes, everybody's after the money. I'm after the money. But you must, yes, everybody needs money. But you must kind of like be able to kind of like channel your energy, because either I'm talking to you at the moment, I'm still learning. I recently started learning Maya. I don't know how to use Maya at all. I recently started learning Maya. Maya is not my thing. Because the software is paid, and I was like, I don't want to pay for extra software since I have to pay for substance suits, pay for this, pay for that, and I was avoiding the software. But you get to a stage in your career, and there are just some things you can't afford, like avoid. You just have to kind of like face them square on. So I started learning Maya recently. So you learn every day. I would say that even if you don't want to take internship at the start of your career, just put so much energy into learning. And another thing is always bear in mind that you need a very good gadget. Even with all the workflows that I have mentioned, how to kind of like topologize and all, you still need a very good gadget. There are some softwares you won't be able to run. For an example, you want to work in Unreal Engine because that's like the next big thing. In all honesty, Unreal Engine like is one of the next big thing in the industry now, and you definitely need to have a very good gadget. So one of the ways you can start saving up for this good gadget is start making funds from the little things you know how to do. If it's chair that you can model at this point, start uploading those chairs to Sketchfab. Start selling those chairs as 3D assets. If it's chair that you know how to model at this point, open a Fiverr account and Upwork account and say, I can model a chair. Don't do beyond you. Don't say what you cannot do. People need this service. You get 1 or 2 persons that need this service, and you definitely know that the end goal of this thing is just to make. So don't say because you're making money from making chair, you just want to stop at that. So use this as a starting point to get the things you need. I remember some years back, my laptop melted from rendering. I was rendering and the laptop was melting, and I was under AC. So that is just to tell you that you need a very good gadget. I was under AC and the laptop was melting. So you need a very good gadget, and as your work goes, that's the kind of gadgets you need going forward. I think in 2020, I was feeling like, this laptop that I bought, 2019, this laptop that I bought, I will do audio work for the next 10 years. I know they buy anything. I tried running Unreal Engine on it. It was working fine. Then came Unreal Engine 5. My laptop was telling me that this is the end of our friendship. So the more the work you're doing goes, the more gadgets you need. So you need to always save towards your gadget at the same time. Your gadget should be your number one friend in this industry. If nobody is telling you that, once you take your knowledge, what you know upstairs, the next thing is your gadget. Even if you are knowledgeable or you know how to do everything in Blender, and you don't have a laptop, how would you show the world what you know how to do? So the number one thing should be you learning to acquire the skill, and the number two thing is you having the necessary gadget. It's just a farmer that is going to the farm without a cutlass. So your gadgets, this is one thing nobody will tell you, but your gadget is definitely something you need to invest in. If you're not taking anything away from today's section, just take away from today's section that you can never go to the farm without a cutlass. And getting a gadget is not necessarily you killing yourself. So people will tell you that, hey, if you don't have 1080 by 1920 kinikon, ask them when they started, is it 1080 by 1920 kinikon they have? No. The little laptop you have, make use of that laptop to buy a bigger laptop. Yoruba people will say, owo lafin wowo. Use what you have to get what you want. So that's like my advice to every person starting. I started with a laptop I bought for just 40,000 naira. That was what the Toshiba was extremely heavy. If I carry that Toshiba, my back like this would be paining me. That was what I started from. And from that Toshiba, I was able to buy, I think from that Toshiba, and I've owned like a whole full workstation from just that one Toshiba. That one Toshiba, I started as an illustrator, as I don't want to come and bore you people with stories. I started as an illustrator. I used to make like fashion illustration and all. I didn't start as a 3D person. And from that illustration, I was working for people. I was working for fashion designer. I served in Kano. Almost all the fashion house in Kano, I don't work. Yes, it's quite funny. And you feel that it's Kano, and you approach some of them. Some of them will even tell you that you are wearing hijab. Which design do you want to draw for me? Is that bad? So because people they see online are all these beautiful ladies that have sense drawing stuff for them, and you've covered your sense with hijab. So what do you want to draw?
Interesting.
But you won't like allow all these things to kind of like stop you or hold you back. I started with even the laptop self. You don't want to know how I even got money to buy the laptop. So just start from like whatever you have, leverage on the small skill you have. Don't wait until this is maybe you only know how to model a car. Don't wait until when you know how to model a house. Start from that one so that you can get the necessary items to actually invest in buying the necessary gadgets that you need. If it's a car that you can model, now model the car, do it to the best of your knowledge, upload it on Sketchfab to start selling it. Get someone that is working on a particular 3D project, tell them, this is your project, I can help you to model the car. Give me any amount that you have. It might look as if you are enslaving yourself for those people, but you're not. You are learning more from that process. You can open a Fiverr account. I can model a car for you at XYZ amount. But making all this money, don't now be making the money and can't be using to tie fine girl. Don't make all the money to do makeup. Make the money to get gadgets yourself, like money to set yourself up. Because even if someone wants to help you, the person will first ask you, what have you done yourself? Like let's be realistic. Everybody needs help. Even the richest person is still looking for more money. So that's just it. So try as much as possible to start small from the laptop you have now that is not able to take a lot of polygon. Do the best you can. Show people what you can do. Get people to assist you, and just sell this thing. I think with Swift XR you can even convert your model to So you can convert your model to AR versions that you can upload on Sketchfab and all these other places to sell, and whatever you make there, gather it together and get a nice gadget that you can start taking up like big works, and also follow people that are not in the field. Go on Twitter, check Behance, check Pinterest, check LinkedIn, follow these guys and see what they are doing. Speak to them, and don't go ahead and ask them nasty questions. Just speak to them and be more polite about it. Bear in mind also that they are always busy themselves, and just try as much as possible to get the best guidance you can and follow through with your dream. This guy will be the beginning of your success.
Amazing.
With this few points of mine, I think I have come to the end of my speech.
It's great to see. It's great to see how that when you started the conversation, you are all trying to be professional, and at some point, as the questions began to come in, you were now vibing like, I'm on Nigeria, like. Like let's see how it actually is, right? Because is in that we can actually grow, right? I'm particularly grateful, right? And Mr. Ralph, who is our CEO of Greysoft Technologies, is also extending his gratitude for the commitment you have shown and your time and the investment you've made to our participants. We are really excited, right? We believe there are more things that we can do and we will do together, right? Because for us also, as a company, we are really, really invested in the metaverse. We are looking forward to we started already building our own space, right? Where people can come in and also have meetings and do a lot of stuff, right? Recently, last year we had partnership, our partnership with Victory XR. I'm sure you know Victory XR. Okay, so Victory XR is a company in the US that what they do basically is to build digital twins for universities, and one of their products is the Cadaver Lab. The Cadaver Lab is a space where science students can get to experiment and see how the human anatomy is, and we know there's a restriction with having all of these experiences in Nigeria or in Africa, right? There's less resources, right? And for me, when I was going to school, when they told me that I wasn't going to be doing chemistry because I studied statistics, I was like, oh God! I was really happy and excited because I never wanted to do chemistry, right? But if the learning was immersive, if the learning was more interactive, definitely it's something I'll be excited about, right? Because there's nothing actually really hard in life. What is actually hard is consistency, and consistency basically, right? So we are very grateful, Idiat. We are very, very grateful. We believe that we would also definitely have to do so many things together. So as the month comes by, we'll definitely reach out to see how we can do stuff. And I can't say it again, but I'll say it. We are grateful. We are grateful.
There's no problem. You're welcome. And I had to make it like a bit not formal because the simple truth about it is everything does not have to look.
Yes, you're not smiling.
So yeah, I just felt like I kind of like needed to speak in a. I know that some of the speaker might have come and be all formal and all, so I just felt like I needed to speak in a more relatable way so that they kind of like understand like how things have been done. Like someone, like I have a friend, when you're explaining something to him, will tell you, so for me, you're back, so that's just it. Like you have to kind of like be able to kind of like relate. So I could have simply go on and start saying like a written speech or the way things are, but I felt like they might not have like a clear understanding. But when people are able to kind of like ask you questions that is within them, it makes you like, you as the speaker know like from their point of view, and they as the listener, they like, so you people are kind of like able to kind of like be together like in one mind.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of like the best way to get things.
Thank you, Idiat. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful. Thank you very much for the time.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So it's at this point
Yeah.
we say thank you, right? Yeah. So let's say thank you, Idiat.
Thank you too for listening to my jabbish.
Nah, it wasn't. All right, take care.
Thank you too. I can't wait to see what you guys are building.
Yeah.
Good luck in your future
Endeavor.
hustle. Let's do hustle. Good luck in your future hustle. I can't wait to see you guys as one of the best 3D designer out there. Hope to work with some of you soon, and yeah, do enjoy the rest of your learning process.
Okay. By the way, let me add to this. Some of them would definitely, all of them would reach out to you on LinkedIn to connect, and also, you know.
So let me say this: the best way to get my attention is by email.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I probably would respond to you fast by email.
Okay.
I probably would also respond to you fast by LinkedIn.
Okay.
But I will respond to you extremely slow on WhatsApp, and I will respond to you. Yeah, I can also. I think so. The best way to actually get to me is by email, LinkedIn, or Instagram.
Okay. All right. Definitely.
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
I check these 3 platforms quite often.
All right.
But WhatsApp, Telegram, yeah, might take a while. I would respond, but it might not be like as swift as you want.
It's understandable. It's understandable. It's understandable. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.